Hello, everyone. Welcome to this week's Santa Barbara Response Network Compassion Center on Facebook. And it's always my pleasure to have people on our conversations from the community that are doing work that you may not know about, that you might have heard and want to know a little bit more about. And today I have the pleasure of having Eddie and Alice Perez from Impact Ministries. And they're both, I assume you're both chaplains?
We're both pastors.
And pastors. And you're both executives with Impact Ministries, involved in the organization and all of the programs.
Yes.
And I was very, very pleased to have you on because one of the core issues and values that we've been addressing with the Santa Barbara Response Network is trauma and the effects of trauma and what happens to people who have been impacted by trauma. And many of those people are the people you're working with through your ministry and your work in the jails and with youth. And it's important for us to understand that that's really the root of all and most of the issues we're seeing in our society, that people are not being tended to. So Impact Ministries, just to say, was founded in 2004. And you've been doing programs, I think, in the Santa Barbara jails, but also you've been doing work with youth.
Yes.
And basically dealing with addiction and people who want to make lifestyle changes and get out of the cycle of violence and trauma response. And to those who are marginalized and those in our community that may feel dismissed and often are even forgotten. So I really appreciate you being here, Eddie and Alice, to share light on what we can do and also to hear more about your work. I wanted to say one thing to both of you, that today I was participating in the Youth Empowerment Summit that was put on by the County Board of Education. And Father Greg Boyle was the keynote speaker, Father G, from Homeboy Industry, who I know is someone, I know him, I know his work, and I know has impacted your work and yourself, both of you. And I was very inspired by what he said today. And one of the lines that I'll share with you is, we all live in the same house. We all live in the same house. So I wanted to ask you, Eddie and Alice, what does that mean to you when we say we all live in the same house and the work that you do?
Well, I think we're Father G, as I just refer him as G. You know, I usually don't call him Father G. I just say G because that's the way as homies we relate to him that way. And he's been my greatest mentor and inspiration since I met him. And I think when he means like we all live in the same house, we're under the creation of God, and all in the same house of God. There's no difference. God created us all to be different, unique, and to have a voice the way he gave us a voice. And I think when G says that, he's trying to bring us all back to that center to understand you are not separated from me. You might have a different way of living. Life might be greater or it might be more tragic, but we are still equally the same in this earth that we live on. And I think that we forget that as humans, as that we are not the same color, we speak different, we come from different, countries, but we don't remember that we're all on this planet together. And the creator created that. Whoever the creator is for you, the way you see your your creator, you know, is to understand that, to say, okay, I may have a different opinion about my spiritual walk than you, but still I need to respect yours because we still live in the same house. And when we're in our homes, our home is our sanctuary. We treat it with the utmost respect, right? We clean it. We make sure things are done appropriately in our homes. Mm-hmm. And I think that's what G's trying to say. God wants us to all act appropriately and decent and compassionately.
One of the things that Father G says a lot, he loves to quote Mother Teresa, mm-hmm. and I think it fits with the first quote that you gave about we all live in the same house. And he loves to say, you know, Mother Teresa would say, we seem to have forgotten that we belong to each other. And maybe that's something we need to remember. And so that's a living quote in his heart. He lives with that and uses that quote to inspire many others. And that's what I feel when I hear that we all live in the same house. We all belong together. And eyes that can see that is important to see.
I agree. And that was what I felt as well.
So what I could do is represent the homeboy.
Yes. Oh man, so interesting. Oh, thank you for wearing that.
Yes.
But I wanted to ask you also your programs. There's G's programs and there's your programs, and could you just give us some, you know, a little background on how you started Impact Ministry?
It's pretty interesting because it actually starts from Homeboy Industries, and the way Impact Ministries started was while I was incarcerated. I reached out to G and we talked, and then he asked me if I would run a program to help individuals that are incarcerated, as well as myself, to understand the lifestyle that we live and the addiction to the lifestyle and why we don't know how to get out of that addiction. And the more we talked, and he encouraged me, he said, you know, you can do this. You can actually do this. And I was really not looking forward to doing it because I wasn't well educated in speaking or anything like that. And I was like, well, no, you know, you can find someone else. And he's like, no, you do it. You can make it happen. So I started this program, and then he came in to help me launch it to the warden and to the staff. So he came into the prison and, you know, to, you know, promote us, to make it happen. And he threw me in front of the bus. And what I mean by that is he told me, I'm not going to speak and you're going to be the speaker and you're going to tell the staff here why it's important for this program to take place. So Impact started with Impact, and then we made it with calling Impact to make it understand that it's individuals making peace and change together is what it stands for. And it was to bring everybody that was doing life like myself and say, you know, we have been addicted to this lifestyle that we've been living. Some of us have been here 20 years. Some of us have been 30 years. Some of us have been in here 40 years. Some of us have been here 50 years. And we can't seem to understand what's our problem. So we have an addiction, and it's not to drugs. It's to a lifestyle that we choose. So that's how it came forward. And it came forward because I took it a little step further when G told me, hey, you know, you can do more with this. Just put your own, you know, way of doing it. So I put it into a ministry movement so that we can help those that are incarcerated that didn't have family members to support them financially. So we started asking those who did have family members that, you know, got blessed, if they'd be willing to donate, you know, cosmetics, you know, shampoo, deodorant, toothpaste, We even started asking men that were, would you donate if your family sends you a quarterly package? Would you ask them to throw an extra pair of socks in there, pair of boxers, t-shirts, pair of shorts? And we had more people doing this, and we were able to start addressing our homeless population in the system that can come to us and ask us, hey, can I get a bottle of shampoo from you? And it was with no attachments. You didn't have to give us nothing back. You owed us nothing. You didn't have to get in the program. You didn't, have to believe in God. It was just a free gift that we gave you. And we didn't even ask you to show us that you didn't have no money. It was just come, we'll give it to you.
That's beautiful. Eddie, were you doing this here or in Los Angeles?
I was doing this while I was incarcerated. I was doing a life sentence. And
where was
that? At the time that I started this, I was at the California Men's Colony in San Luis Obispo at CMC East. And I was a glazer and a painter in the prison. So I got a movement around, and I had a lot of movement. And so then I was asked to be housed on a mental facility yard that they had there for the severe mentally ill, because they broke a lot of windows and they would cut themselves and do, horrible things. So they needed somebody. So they asked me if I would come in and replace the glass immediately and clean it up. And so it brought me to have a lot of compassion. And this is where exactly I started Impact, because I not only wanted to help my own peers from the gang lifestyle, but I also started learning that I was there to understand what mental illness was. And I didn't know what I was walking into, but I met these amazing 3 men that were severely mentally ill that did not know how to shower, didn't know how to clean themselves or clean their cells or change their clothing, let alone, they came up to me and just asked for a simple little thing one day. And they asked, can I have a piece of your bologna sandwich? And I was, painting, and I said, okay. So I cut it, 4 ways, and I shared it with them. And then they said, well, could we have a piece of your cookie? And I said, sure. So I cut the cookie and we split the cookie, and they kept showing up every day. And before I knew it, they were my little buddies. And then I started saying, well, how do I help them? How do I step in and be an advocate and show them that they can be clean, they can shave, they can, they can have integrity for themselves and walk, even with their mental illness. The mental illness is a whole different thing, but we can still groom them in this part. So we formed a group, and a bunch of us lifers said, okay, we're going to show them how to shower, how to shave, how to put deodorant on, how to change their clothing every day, how to clean their cell, how to make their beds, but most importantly, how to be able to express what they're feeling, be able to talk about the voices they hear, the things that are going on in their head, and to be able to sit with them when a psychologist or a social worker is telling them, we want to try this new drug on you, but that drug is only adding to their mental illness. So we wanted to be the advocates to say, you're only making them worse. So why would you put them on a different medication when they can't even, get through the medication they're on now, and you want to up the dose? So we started advocating to be their voice. And then we came to a place that we found men that were very intelligent with educational skills and writing skills. And we said, what if we got you guys to start writing agreement forms against the prison system. So we started writing all these agreement forms against the prison system, and then we started getting attorneys to say we will take the case, and then eventually the courts mandated that the Department of Correction and Rehabilitation get serious and build a serious foundation for the mentally ill. So for every 5 mentally ill men, they had to have a nurse for each one of them. And they had to provide better services, better conditions. And so it changed, but it changed us because, we didn't realize our own mental disorder. So it made us look at our own mental disorder of being, with this trauma that we had as children, and saying it led us into this criminal behavior. It's not to make excuses for, for anything that we did, but it made us understand, it put us on a path towards how we acted out. Yeah. And we started understanding that journey, that how we started behaving. And then it started becoming clearer. And the more we went into this program of impact, we started just developing more men to understand that, we have a disorder. We weren't functionable in society, and society had a right to incarcerate us because of our behavior. But we have a right to understand and take accountability for the actions that we caused to victimize those that we came to prison for. And that was huge for us to say, it's time for us to look in and start learning what's our compassion and our empathy about our behavior, and to stand up and not run from it and take all full responsibility.
Yes. No, that's so well said. That's so well said. And it's quite the journey that you've been on, and the advocacy and support that you've been able to provide and were able to provide to people who didn't have a voice. And now what you're doing with Impact Ministry is, I know you're extending that to families. Like over the holidays, we were speaking about the fact that families and children aren't going to have a Christmas, and they may not get gifts or time together. And I know that's one of the programs or one of the projects that you're working on. Can you tell us a little bit about that?
Yes, I can.
So that we can support that.
Can I just go back a little and just say, we,
sure.
while I was at this institution, our first Christmas event for Impact was, I met a gentleman that was just about ready. He was going to commit suicide. He was an inmate. And I at the corner of my eye, I caught him. So I went up to him. He was going to jump off the building. And I started talking to him, and I asked him what was so hurting him that he felt that he needed to end his life. And then he explained it, and I said, so what would be worth living? What would make you want to live today? And how can I help you to want to live? And he said, I used to be a fisherman, and my father and I ran a fishing boat. He goes, I would just like to give something back. And I said, well, I've never done this. I go, but what if we did something for kids in some community somewhere and had a fishing trip and did a Christmas thing and just kind of, step out of this box of prison and go out in the community and we know nothing about. So we reached out to G. He introduced me to people in a program called Impacto out of East LA. And so we formed this Christmas event fishing event for kids in East LA. So that's how the Christmas thing first started. And then when I got out of prison, after my wife and were married, I ended up meeting a couple of lieutenants and the sheriffs, and they invited me to become a pastor inside the county jail. And the same thing, I started noticing that men and women did not have the same thing. They did not have shampoo. They did not have the things that they needed to feel, to feel decent about themselves. So I talked to my wife and I said, hey, how could we raise some money and bring a Christmas bag to them? So we just started there. And so we started almost 3 years ago. This is going to be the first time that we're going to actually do the whole jail. We did it for women first. And so now we're going to do it for the whole jail facility for all the women and the men. Because if I go back to my own time of being incarcerated, I knew what it was like only to have one square bar of soap that the state of California provided you. And I would cut it into pieces. One, to shampoo my hair, take a shower with, do my laundry with, So these are the things that I had to do with that one bar of soap that I got once a week that was handed out to us by the state of California. And it wasn't until somebody years down the line actually one day said, hey, how would you like to try some of this shampoo? It's better than that state bar soap. And when I remember putting on this shampoo of VO5 and washed my hair, I couldn't believe the scent that came from the shampoo. I couldn't believe the smell, the freshness that I felt in the shower. And I was like, my God, this is what it feels like to feel this way. It was just such an awakening. And it just like the smallest little thing that made me feel decent again. And so this is all I want to do, is to give back to those in there that don't have nothing and could just go into a place and sit and take a shower, or sit at a table and make a cup of coffee and enjoy a cookie or a candy bar that they may never get.
Yeah.
Because it's too expensive for them. So that's what we are planning. I mean, a candy bar out here costs maybe $1 something, and there it's going to cost you almost $5. And so, we are just trying to do our part. I'm really strong about a service. When I learned that, with the mentally ill was, and doing this program for Impact was, service is important to me and my wife for a ministry. Yeah, we are believers of Christ. We believe in God. We are pastors. We are ordained pastors, but we do not push our beliefs or any of that on anyone. Our way of representing is just like, we come from our heart. Our heart arrives before we arrive. And we meet you where you're at. And we accept you exactly who you are. And it doesn't matter the circumstances, if you're in incarceration or you're not, because we have many people out here right now that are incarcerated in their own homes.
Yes. So your programs now are, I imagine they're all virtual. Are you able to do your programs in the jail right now?
We are not. We are, my wife is a teacher there. She is a correctional counselor in the jail. So she gets to teach. Would you like to speak on that?
Well, right now, because of COVID, we're not doing face-to-face classes, but we do a lot of correspondence courses. So we give packets in on a given day, and then we take them after 1 week. We read and respond and give them back. So they're doing these 6 weeks courses through the Sheriff's Treatment Program, but they're not via Zoom. They're all writing. So we get the packets into their cells and into the units and the tanks, and then we get them back after they've complete each in a week's work for 6 weeks. Hopefully we'll go back.
And what's the focus of?
It's a whole.
What's the focus of the program?
the focus for Sheriff's Treatment Program under the direction of Deirdre Smith, and it's run through the Sheriff's Department, the whole focus is on really thinking about our thinking, understanding how a lot of what we do and say and how we act comes from our thoughts first. So let's be aware of what we're thinking, and let's be aware of some of those lifestyle addictions and habits of thought and habits of our lives that we go on autopilot. And some of them have led to behaviors that then lead to jail and possibly prison. So it's shining a light and just excavating, digging out a lot of all of those patterns of thinking and trying to just be aware of it. So a lot of cognitive behavioral work. It's really, really wonderful. It's a wonderful program.
Oh, I'm very impressed. You're doing those? Are you doing any other programs with the inmates or with youth right now?
Well, right now I'm also the pastor for a program that wasn't a Christian base, but they finally understood that they're called Freedom for Youth, and they've been here 10 years in Santa Barbara, and they were just didn't know how to deal with the suicide that the kids were doing and committing, and the trauma of the kids. So they said, hey, would you consider being, our pastor? And, we're not a Christian base, but, would you just come alongside us? So I did. So I've been working with our youth in the community with Freedom for Youth, but I also was able to work with our youth in our high schools with Ali Cortez and able to get invited into the classes that she invited me to speak in, and with Ismail Wartha also. So we've been able to do that. And then plus my wife and I also, in the summer before all this, we were inviting our youth in the summer to commit to a couple of weeks of doing a workshop with us. And we were doing it with Father G's book called Tattoos on the Heart. And we would do this whole workshop with them, and they loved it.
So much,
they loved it.
So much fun.
We had a lot of fun, and so with the youth, it's challenging. The other part of our youth that we're working with right now, my wife and I also pastor over a group of young girls that are being saved from sex trafficking, and so we also work with that part of our youth in our county that come from all different parts of California into a safe place. So we meet with them once a week, and we are building more and more. We're trying to build more of a team, a more younger team, that we can have younger mentors that come alongside us that could bring more activities for these girls. We have learned a lot. We knew nothing about sex trafficking. So once we stepped in it, it's like we have just went to a university and just had to fast forward ourselves to a doctor's degree, of what we needed to learn. And we love it. We love it. We
work with an amazing couple who partner with us with Impact, Jason Walker and his wife, Robin Walker. And Robin Walker is a core fitness trainer here in town, and so she does really wonderful core fitness work with the young girls as well. So it's an evolving, growing type of program, and we would love to be able to really put together a faith-based curriculum for young people who are coming out of sex trafficking, and that's one of our goals as we just go forward one step at a time.
Yes. And Robin allows us to use her gym from, to bring the girls so they can work out and learn, new ways to be physically healthy, which is a big plus for them to do. And
absolutely. Yeah. Absolutely. You're just going to all of the different areas where there is the need, the most basic need on an equal level.
Yes.
You know, we all need to feel safe. We all need to feel like we're worthy without shame.
Right.
You know, even cleanliness, the fact of just addressing a basic human need.
Right.
It's very meaningful to me. And, you know, the sex trafficking, I was on a workshop today about that and the prevalence of sex trafficking.
Yeah, it's crazy.
In our community. It's amazing how much that's going on. So the fact that you're trying to address all of the issues that are causing so much suffering, how can we support you? Eddie and Alice, how can we support you in doing what you're doing?
I think the first thing is prayer, you know, supporting us through prayer and any, I mean, you know, I hate to say it, but most times, you know, financially is always a big help to help us right now, especially with our Christmas event for the jail. We really need support to complete that and get that finalized and move that forward. You know, I know I've run into a lot of people in the community that says, well, why would I give you money for some person that committed a crime? And my answer is, why wouldn't you want to bless somebody that you can show your compassionate heart to? You know, you've made mistakes.
Yes.
And maybe some of your mistakes should have led you to be incarcerated. And some of your mistakes has harmed somebody and wounded them for life, but you don't see that. It's just about a compassionate heart. And people are entitled to a mistake, but we're a country of giving second chances. We're a country with integrity and decency. We were based on a country of faith, of godly principles. And we want that support from our community, from anyone out there that would like to come alongside and say, you know, I just would like to be a support to you guys. And if there's people out there, you know, that are good at, you know, creating activities, and we can use you to help us in the group of the girls that we work with in trafficking, you know, we're open. Right now, you know, we just became a nonprofit organization in February. And so we've been doing this Ma and Pa style since I was in prison. You know, we paid in soups and cookies, you know, so we went from soups and cookies to a little bigger things, and to be at this place after where I first started, and to know how this connects with this even today, with, you know, Father G being here in Santa Barbara and representing the school board. You know, it's not a coincidence. It's not a coincidence. And we just love one of our biggest goals too is we're looking for people in the community, because we live in a rich city, a rich county. And we know there's many people out there that may have a home or want to rent a home. We want to open up a transitional housing for our youth. We want to open up a place that they can have a place to stay. They can have a place to sit. They can have a place to come and get a change of clothing. They can have a safe place just for whatever moment they need, and feel safe there, you know, and have just a person that from the community can come and say, hey, I'd like to volunteer for the day, you know, and sit with somebody and just be a loving, kind soul to them. So that's kind of a big, broad need that we have. You know, I mean, I know everybody's in need, especially in this time. But, you know, we will accomplish this somehow, especially our jail is our number one goal right now. We definitely want to be Santa Claus, you know, for Christmas. So that's how you can help us.
Yes. Help you be Santa Claus for Christmas for these families. And they can visit your website.
Yes.
At Impact Ministries. SoCal.org.
Yes.
Yes.
And the donation is there with all the information.
And if they have any questions,
yeah, and you volunteer.
Yeah, you can also give my phone number. I'm open to that. Anybody that wants to contact us, you know, if you like, I can give you my phone number over the air now, and if they want to. And so it's 805-448-9096. And so please, if you have any questions or anything you feel that you heard today that you would like to get involved with, or anything that we can do, because we also meet with family members who have children in their home that are dealing with, you know, gang involvement. We have mothers that call that are concerned about their daughters, you know, maybe being lured into trafficking. We also have adults in this time of COVID that are just not feeling they're being supported spiritually. They just need a vent. You know, they need a vent. They just need a prayer. We also have created on Thursdays, every second Thursday, we will be doing a prayer line on Zoom, you know, through Freedom for Youth. And we are inviting all our youth around the community to join in. And last 2 weeks ago, we had quite a bit of youth that joined into the prayer. And it was very surprising how many of them came on to the Zoom and wanted prayer, and then continue to communicate with us to say, hey, you know, all I need is a prayer today. And if that's all we provide them, and it enriches them and puts them on the path to get where they need to get, then we've accomplished what we need to do.
Well, thank you. I can't thank you both enough. I've been so moved. It's hard to end a conversation because I feel there's so much to ask. I wanted to ask how you met. I wanted to ask so many things about your life because I've been so, but I'll continue that. I'll just reach out to you personally and offer my support. I mean, you've got me, and I'm honored to know you. I'm honored to be able to host this and share your work. And today was fortuitous that G was in the morning and you were in the evening. And one thing that I learned from you and from G today, he said, people think they're going to go out and help somebody. They're going to fix them. They're going to help them. No, let them in. Let them in.
Yes.
Let them in your heart.
Yeah, Amen. Just let them in your heart. That's all. Yeah, that's all anybody wants. I mean, all of us.
Don't try to do it.
Yeah.
We belong to each other.
But we thank you. Thank all of you who are listening out there. We appreciate it. Thank you for doing. Okay. God bless you guys.
Thank you. Thank you all. God bless you. Have a good evening.
Thank you. Bye.
Thank you. Bye-bye.